Hey everybody, welcome back to some more Hearthstone Whizbang's workshop. I've got some of the neutrals, because that's what's being revealed right now. Some of the neutrals from this morning, so this is hot off the press. And then I'm also going to cover the neutrals that were revealed yesterday. So, without further ado, Nostalgic Clown, a new 5-mana 6/5 neutral with Miniaturize, the new keyword for this effect, that when you play it, you get the mini version. Battlecry, if you've played a higher cost card while holding this, deal 4 damage. On the right is the mini version, so this is Nostalgic Clown as a 1/1/1 mini with the same effect. Obviously, this is a nod back to Carnival Clown, which was an absolute menace. People try to corrupt this card. By the way, corruption is playing a card higher than the cost of the card you had while it was in your hand. So this is a nod back to corrupt without saying, it is corrupt. It's an old keyword. And this summoned a full board, if you could corrupt it, of 4/4s with taunt, and it was just value, baby. I think, what was the main deck? It was like the Carnival Priest deck, where you would burn through your entire deck, and you'd throw out a bunch of Carnival Crowns and Chef Nomids and that type of thing. It was horrible. But anyway, they were 4/4s, which is why we have the 4 damage effect. It's an okay card. Do I think this is better than the old Clown? Not really. If I was going to compare this to anything just on the raw stats alone, it's pretty close to Glavebound Adept. It's a conditional minion that is 5 cost that deals 4 damage. It has 1 more health than Glavebound Adept, but I would argue it's easy for your hero to attack as a Demon Hunter, which is 1 mana, versus playing a card that costs more than 5 to proc the Nostalgic Clown. So, I'm sorry, Nostalgic Clown, I just don't see it. One thing I may possibly see, and maybe this is where maybe it finds a niche here. It wouldn't be the absolute worst thing to put into your brand double Battlecry deck. You play something that is more expensive than 5 cost, because this 4 damage can go to the face as well as hitting minions. You could conceivably get 8 damage off the Nostalgic Clown, and all you need to do is play something that costs more than 1 and less than 5. So you have the mana cost for 10. So you can Nostalgic Clown, ideally have it set up, right? Does 8 to the face, you play like a 2 cost card, doesn't matter, and then you Nostalgic Clown again with the mini and do another 8 to the face. 16 damage is part of the combo, especially if you put, the 2 cost card might be I don't know what to say for the 2 cost card, but this could be the replacement for Astral in the brand deck. So maybe that's where it'll find a home, I'm not entirely certain. Other legendary neutral, Lena Shop Manager. Whenever you cast a spell, fill your board with a random minion of that cost. Wow, that is really disgusting. Let's put it that way. So obviously you're going to want to cast a 4 cost spell. That's probably going to be the dream for this, right? Obviously you can set up 11 mana with getting a coin and playing the coin before you play this. Otherwise you're going to fill your board with 0 mana 1/1s. You could potentially get to 12 mana with a 6-drop as well. Honestly, the card I was going to compare this to the most is Carnival Clown. Carnival Clown, sorry. He fills your board with 4/4s with Taunt. At 4 mana for each minion, assuming you play a 4-mana spell, on average you're probably getting like a 4/4 minion, right? Some with Taunt, some with other effects. So it's actually pretty similar to Carnival Clown, I think, but it's going to cost... It costs 1 more mana to do it, but it's easier to set up because you don't need to corrupt the card first. Anyway, I was having a look through, and obviously we haven't seen the full set yet, so it's pretty hard to fully evaluate this card. In the most common situation where you're playing a 4-cost spell on top of your 6-mana minion, in the 4-drop pool, here are some of the higher roller cards. Gloomstone Guardian, 6/8 Taunter stats. That's pretty disgusting. Twisted Frostwing has a rush on it, and it's kind of sticky. Also pretty disgusting. Driller the Kid, do you want some treasures? You could cheat out another treasure. Nesting Golem, this is the new card. Death Rattle resummon this with -1/-1. If you throw Lena into maybe some sort of more aggressive deck, and maybe as you get to 10 mana, your last hurrah is to play the 6-drop onto a 4-drop spell, and just generate a huge board. Getting something that is a little bit sticky might just get you over the line. And then, of course, how can you forget Slagmore, the best 4-drop in the game? You could get a board full of Slagmores. That would be fantastic, right? It is random minions, by the way, so it's not just, one 6 times. You'll get 6 different ones. Now, if you do 11 mana instead with a 5-cost spell, you can actually get some truly, truly disgusting things, but it is more of a... I think the average 4-drop is kind of better than the average 5-drop. I know you're saying you're stupid. Yeah, okay, I'm kind of stupid. But I think on the average 5-drop, they're Battlecry cards, so you're really just getting the raw stats. I think on the 4-drop side of things, there were more things with, like, the bonus effect type thing with, like, Rush, Taunt, Divine Shield, that type of thing. But in 5-drop land, there is Greybow that's going to rotate into the set. You get a Greybow in your board. Again, we talk about sticky things. That's going to be pretty sticky. Fireworker, the new 5-drop. You get some Boombots, a little bit of value, very nice. Warsong Grunt, the new neutral card that's going into the core set. Again, you can rush into a minion, kill it, and attack again, maybe. That's some good swing, good tempo swing. When it truly gets disgusting, Doomguard is 5 mana, right? Rotating back into the set. You would love to get a minion with charge, where you don't have to discard any cards for it. And also, Leroy Jenkins! He has charge as well. So, if you, like, Giga high rolled this, which I know is completely unreasonable, but maybe you'll go for it with the coin into Lena, you could get Leroy Doomguard times, 3 for both of them and just run 30 odd damage into your opponent's face. That won't be very fun. But as I said, this is such a low percentage roll. And actually, if you actually have a look through the 5-drop pool, it's pretty bad right now for standard. So, again, this card, the quality of it will depend on what other cards are revealed in the set. Especially any minion that isn't a Battlecry. It has more effect than its Battlecry, because obviously you don't get the Battlecry when you summon it straight to the board. Other minion released today, or revealed today, Origami Crane, 4 mana 4/1 beast, taunt. Battlecry, swap health with another minion, and it is a beastie. Vol'jin is in tears. He's being power crept by a piece of paper. This is Vol'jin's effect. He was a 5 mana 6/2 that swapped health with another minion. Origami Crane, he swaps health with another minion for 1 less. He does have 2 less attack, but more importantly, he has 1 less health. So, it's easy to kill the minion you swap the health with, and it costs 1 less mana, so you have more mana to spend on spells to kill that card, and it has Taunt. It is just upgraded Vol'jin. Now, if Vol'jin was in tiers before, don't let me look at this piece of paper. Origami Dragon, 6 mana 1/1. It is a dragon. Divine Shield, Lifesteal, Battlecry. Swap stats with another minion. Vol'jin is crying again. It's not even just swap the health from this card. You swap everything, as I understand it. So I assume the attack and health will swap with your opponent's minion. I also assume the mana cost swaps. Not that it really matters because it'll be on the board, but just in case you were wondering, I assume that happens. Okay, there's a lot to unpackage with this card. I think this card is low-key kind of nuts, and I'm going to try and explain why to you. It's really hard to compare it to anything else. I don't think there's any other card, you might, tell me that I'm wrong. I don't think there's another card with an effect like this ever printed. The closest thing I can see to it is the swapping stats with another minion. You're giving another minion 1 health, 1 attack. That is the effect of the spell Subdue from Paladin. So for this card, I think you can kind of treat it as a 4 mana minion. And the stats you want off that minion should bring you into the park of a good 4-drop. Bearing in mind though that you have Divine Shield and Lifesteal in it as well, you can kind of treat that as maybe as a bundle of 1 mana. So I think you're looking for a stat line that is better than a 3-drop. So, for example, I think you can Origami Dragon realistically at A, and I don't think this is the best case obviously, but I think if you hit a 3 mana 3/4, the bog standard 3-drop stat line, I think you come out of it better, right? I think that is good value, at the very least. Not the best value, obviously, you want to be hitting 8/8s and stuff like that, but, that's pretty good. Also, note about this card, it isn't legendary, so you get 2 copies of it, and Joymancer Geppetto will bring it back for you if you want another one. Yeah, that is a really interesting card. It's neutral, it's very good for control decks. Are we in the timeline of the control deck taking over again? We'll see. Other dragon, gift wrapped whelp. 1 mana 2/1 dragon. Battlecry. If you're holding a dragon, give it and this minion +1/+1. Okay, Hearthstone have printed a 1 mana 3/2. Holy moly, with an upside. Well, that's going to be disgusting. You thought, playing against Dragon Druid and then playing Cactus Construct was obnoxious. Wait till they play this gift wrapped dragon and he hits a dragon golem in their hand. This is going to be disgusting. It's not even if a dragon deck is going to be strong, this card will be strong. We already know that Dragon Druid hovers around like high tier 2, low tier 1. And this card is just going to elevate it further. Honestly, I'm going to call it now, this could be 5 stars. 5-star card. 1 mana 3/2 with an upside. Because you're always going to have a dragon in your hand, right, if you're playing this dragon deck. So, yeah. That's kind of crazy. Kind of crazy. Now, there is obviously an anti-synergy if you wanted to run Origami Dragon into this deck. You obviously don't want to buff your Origami Dragon who's going to swap the stats around, but however, you run the Origami Dragon in this deck. So, yeah, 1 mana 3/2 dragon, basically. Speaking of insane 1-drops, it is Tar Slime. 1 mana 0/3 elemental taunt. Has +2 attack during your opponent's turn. Obviously, this is a play on Tar Creeper. It should 100% have been called Tar Cheaper. Okay. Tar Creeper was a 3 mana 1/5 elemental with the exact same effect. And honestly, it saw a lot of play. I think it's kind of snuck under the radar as well. I can't remember what set it was from. It was a pretty early set. I think people thought, 3 mana for 6 stats, who cares? But it was really obnoxious against aggressive decks, as they can't, get through taunt gets cheating, and they had to deal with an overstated 3-drop on their turn. So although you're not attacking for as much damage as you might do from another 3-drop, you're protecting your health pool, and you're probably running this in a deck that is going to go into the late game, so you don't really care about the early game damage. It doesn't matter. You just whack on this Tar Creeper and wait till turn 7, 8, and 9. And honestly, this Tar Slime may be better. It kind of depends, because the 3 health obviously makes it easier to deal with spells. The breakpoint is a lot less. But you can kind of see this on your opponent's turn as being a 1 mana 2/3, right? And I was just saying the Whelp was insane, the gift wrap Whelp, for being a 1 mana 3/2. 1 mana 2/3 with Taunt is even stronger than that. Also, bearing in mind, in the not too distant past, other decks that wanted to get into the late game, like the Ramp Druid decks and Handlocks, they ran stuff like Druid of the Reef and Voidwalker as a 1 mana 1/3 Taunt, just to try and stay alive a bit longer. Tar Slime, 1 mana 2/3 Taunt. It power creeps both these cards considerably, so I think Tar Slime will see play. I think in control decks where you're looking for a 1-drop, this little cute ball of slime, I think he'll make the cut. A card I don't think will make the cut, though, and it's going to be a bit of pack filler. Messmaker, 3 mana 1/3, Lifesteal Taunt, Death Rattle. Deal 1 damage to all enemies. Okay, it's pretty good in the sense that, yes, it's on Death Rattle, but it has got Taunt, so it kind of forces your opponent to deal with it at some point. And if they have a wide board, and you're doing 1 damage to all enemies, that includes the face, you could heal for a decent amount off this card. So maybe if the meta went into a spot where there was a lot of big swarming tokeny decks, this might be the answer to it. However, I kind of compare this card to Fell Rattler, which had Rush instead, so you could kind of guarantee you would get the Death Rattle off. It was more proactive, it was a 3 mana 3/2. It didn't hit the face, but it was 1 damage to all enemy minions. And Fell Rattler didn't see that much play. So I don't see it for Messmaker. I think it's just going to be a little bit too weak. I also think this card is going to be too weak, but the flavor of this card is so delicious. 3 mana 3/4, Cosplay Contestant. After your opponent plays a minion, you transform into a 3/4 copy of it. We have had a legendary in the past called Harbinger Celestia, and this had a very similar effect, except you just flat out turn into a copy of it, which could be disadvantageous in the sense that they might play a 1 mana 1/1, for example, and your 4 mana card has become a 1/1. Not very good, right? At the very least with Cosplay Contestant, you're guaranteed to get the 3/4, but it's so easy to play around this card. The thing I love about it, though, is the art. It's clearly, the cosplaying is Valera, and the idea that they're like, you play a minion and the cosplay contestant's like, oh, I'll cosplay as that. I love the flavor, but it's going to be a pack filler card. What I don't necessarily think will be a pack filler card, but it might need a little bit of extra support. Bucket of Soldiers, 3 mana 0/2. Death Rattle, summon 5 1/1 soldiers with random bonus effects. The random bonus effects being, you know, like Lifesteal, Divine Shield, Rush, Taunt, Wind Fury. You get the deal now. So we've been playing, you know, the past rotation for a while, and this foul egg has found its way into many foul decks. And this was this was one of the egg summoners. Now, I'll appreciate this had Undead on the tag, which was part of the reason why it saw a lot of play. But almost throughout the history of Hearthstone, whenever there's been an egg, and I'm kind of treating this Bucket of Soldiers as an egg, some sort of deck has tried to revolve around it, because obviously it's a huge tempo swing to get this egg to break in, especially in a proactive way, with some sort of Death Rattle Synergy Enabler, to give you like a 3/3 Undead Chicken. Bucket of Soldiers is 5 1/1, so this is like 5 mana of stats base. Maybe a little bit less than that, because you might say a 1/1 is half a mana now. So let's say it's 2.5 mana. The bonus effects, though, I would say is generally like a mana, so I think this Bucket of Soldiers has like 7-ish mana hidden within it. And that is really, really, really disgusting. It's just how are you going to harness this value? Because obviously it takes up a lot of board space. The card I'm kind of looking at this comparable to right now is the Scarab Egg, which gave you 3 1/1 Scarabs instead. Wasn't the strongest form of the eggs, I will concede, so maybe the Bucket Soldiers will be a meme. But this is just better than it. It's flat out better, so it's a bit of a hard comparison. I was looking through ways to enable this, because you could spread the Death Rattle to other minions via the Death Knight synergies. Hunter obviously has some Death Knight synergies, but you don't really want to spread this Death Rattle around too much, just because you'll never get the full value from it, right? It's so rare that you're going to have to destroy your 5 minions before your opponent just kills the other Death Rattle. You'll summon like 1 soldier instead, and you lose out on all that value. Basically, the juice wasn't worth the squeeze. One thing you can do is, you know, potentially you coin out the Bucket of Soldiers, and then on 3 Ravenous Kraken it to destroy it, get 5 dudes, and then within the Ravenous Kraken, which is pretty hard to kill because it's a 2/5, are 5 more dudes. So maybe that type of zoo deck works. Also, obviously, it might just go into Paladin. Paladin has a lot of minion buffing cards. Throw them like a Hand of Adal and attack away! And behind this, you'll have 5 dudes. And not only will you have 5 dudes, with Paladin you'll also have the Aura coming up on like turn 4. If you can get 5 soldiers with random bonus effects, and time it with them being able to attack and the Aura coming up, that's going to be super, super scary. Because obviously currently in the state Paladin's in, we're in the state that you have to clear every minion versus Paladin, otherwise you have a risk of losing. This is really hard to clear. Very, very hard to clear. I was also thinking in terms of synergies, and this card is rotating as I put in big text. How scary would it be if this Anchor Totem was still a thing? You kill your Bucket of Soldiers with an Anchor Totem on the field and they all get... I mean, they become 3/2s, right? That would be disgusting. Fortunately, it's rotating, so it won't be a thing. What will be a thing and is going to be disgusting? Factory Assembly Bot. 10 mana 6/7 mech, miniaturize. At the end of your turn, summon a 6/7 bot that attacks a random enemy. And the mini version is the 1 mana 1/1 that generates a 6/7 that attacks a random enemy. Again, it can be the face. Doesn't have to be a minion. Could be the face. Okay, this is disgusting. Even at base Factory Assembly Bot, if you just play this as a 10 mana card, that's 10 mana, 12, 14 of stats. That's a reasonable stat line for 10. But 6 of that damage will get, like, rushed in. You can't control where it goes, but I mean, it's not even rush, it's like rush/charge. So that's, you know, it's not crazy, it's not terrible. We've seen a card like this before in the past. It was called Troublemaker, and boy was it a troublemaker. This card summoned 2 3/3 ruffians that attack random enemies at the end of the turn. Very similar to this effect. By the way, if you don't deal with the 6/7, you get another 6/7 on the next turn, so you have to kill this assembly bot, otherwise you are in trouble. Same thing with Troublemaker. You had to kill the Troublemaker. It did have 1 more health, which made it harder to deal with. But if you didn't, you knew you were going to deal with another 2 6/6s, and sometimes that was just back-breaking for certain decks. Part of the reason why I think this is going to be super, super scary, though, unlike Troublemaker, Troublemaker didn't have a tribe. Factory Assembly Bot does. It is a mech, therefore can be tutored by mech lovers. And what new mech lover have we seen? Invent a Boom! Resurrect 2 friendly mechs that cost 5 or more. They immediately attack random enemies. Now, Factory Assembly Bot being resurrected by this thing and attacking random enemy, it's very unlikely it dies, right? It's got 7 health. There's not that many minions that get played that have more than 7 attack. And also you can play around it a little bit by not playing Invent a Boom into that. But if it attacks and lives, it generates a 6/7 at the end of the turn that attacks another random enemy. If you got like the Factory Assembly Bot with it, obviously that might die during the attacking random enemy stage. But you get the gist of it. You could just have bots everywhere attacking randomly. And some of these are going to hit you in the face and you're just going to get smoked down by what I think will be a Mech Warrior deck. Now, we've not seen the full set, obviously, but I think Mech Warrior is going to be I think it's going to be a thing. I think it's something they're going to try and support. And I think this Factory Assembly Bot will be a part of that deck. So watch out for it. Observer of Mysteries, 3-mana 2/2 Demon, Battlecry, cast 2 random secrets. At the start of your turn, destroy them. Okay, so to evaluate this card, I'm just going to go through the secrets. So in Hunterland, we have Explosive Trap, Wandering Monster, Freezing Trap, Ice Trap, Rat Trap, Hidden Meaning. The most obnoxious one here, I think, is Ice Trap, so it's going to make your opponent not want to play spells. All the other Hunter secrets, though, will revolve around attacking, or playing 3 cards, or having no mana at the end of the turn. So you can kind of play around these secrets pretty easily. In Mageland, we have Explosive Runes, Counterspell, Azurite Vein, Ice Barrier, and Summoning Ward. I believe there's only 5 for Mage right now, so tell me if I'm wrong. This might indicate there's actually going to be another secret, so watch this space. Within these ones, again, don't cast spells because Counterspell. Don't attack your opponent because of Ice Barrier. And then you have to be slightly careful by what you play with Azurite Vein, but it's Azurite Vein, who gives a shit? And then I don't think Summoning Ward will work. Tell me again if I'm wrong on this one. I'm not entirely certain on the timing of the interaction. But actually, maybe it doesn't. Maybe it's the best thing you can get. I don't understand. Well, maybe I don't understand it right. I should have checked this. I think the Observer of Mysteries effect will go first and destroy the Summoning Ward before the Summoning Ward goes off. But maybe it stacks on top of it and this will go first. I simply have no idea. Anyway, it's irrelevant right now. Summoning Ward is either the best or the worst secret. But again, the only really bad thing in Mageland is Explosive Runes. After playing a minion, you'll deal damage to it. So Observer of Mysteries. Obviously, this card is good if your 2 random secrets go off, as you're cheating out somewhere between like 4 and 6 mana, right? However, I think the current secret pool is so easy to play around this card that unless you get like Explosive Runes, Counterspell, and Ice Trap, as long as you don't attack, you're kind of Gucci. And even then, if you want to play around, Counterspell, don't play spells. Just play a minion. Just summon a minion as a counter to this. Maybe don't spend all your mana as well, and then the only thing that can catch you is Explosive Runes. Obviously, if you get no value from your secrets, you've played a 3-mana 2/2, and that is a huge tempo down. So it's not even a bad thing to not play your full mana cost. Oh, just by the way as well, all rogue secrets are rotating, or being there. They've been removed from the core set, so there's no rogue secrets anymore. So it's literally this pool of, I think, 11 secrets you have to play around, and I think depending on Summoning Ward's timing, if Summoning Ward does go first, then obviously that might be your best bet. That you play Observer of Mysteries, you get a Summoning Ward. If the Summoning Ward goes off first, then you get another 2/2 from it at the very least, which means you've kind of played 3 mana for a 4/4. I think it's too much like... I think you just could play around this card too much. I don't think this will see any play, unless there is other secret synergies. Scarab Keychain, 1-mana, 1/1 Beast, Battlecry, discover a 2-cost card. This is Jeweled Scarab, a knockback to this, but instead of it being a 2-mana, 1/1 that finds a 3-cost, it's a 1-mana, 1/1 that finds a 2-cost. Pack Filler. What I don't think will be Pack Filler, but it depends. Plucky Paintfin, 3-mana, 2/3 Murloc, Poisonous. Battlecry, draw a Rush minion. Now, It is draw a card on an understated 3 drop, but it isn't just draw a card, it tutors for a rush minion in particular. We've had a card like this before, and it's actually rotating back into the core set for Warrior, Town Crier, which was Battlecry, draw a rush minion from your deck. So this card is going to live and die by there being a rush minion that is good enough to tutor for, right? The only new rush minion we've seen is Tigress Plushie, and I don't think this is it. So we're going to be watching out for rush minions. That being said, Reska the Pit Boss is a rush minion. It sees play in Plague, Mining, Death Knight deck. Maybe you'll try and sneak in a Plucky Paint Fin just to shoot for Reska to make sure that you draw the Reska and then Reska come back from your treasures. That might be a thing. And then, of course, you might want to bring out the other great rush minion, Slagmaw, right? Another tutor. Maybe 2 Town Criers isn't enough for your Slagmaw. Maybe you have to run 2 Plucky Paint Fins to 100% guarantee you have a Slagmaw on turn 4. Okay, sure. If you don't understand sarcasm, that's probably not the play. Anyway, Workshop Janitor. It's tinfoil hat time, by the way. 5 mana 5/5, but look, Battlecry. If you control a location, draw 2 cards. Currently, there will be only 6 locations in the game as this set rotates in. They are Mosh Pit, Dance Floor, Crimson Expanse, Forge of Wills, Prison of Yogg-Saron, and Fan Club. So, in theory, every class has access to a location via Prison of Yogg-Saron. But obviously, Prison of Yogg-Saron is a 7 mana location, and isn't really in keeping with the Workshop Janitor, right? You don't want to have to wait till turn 7 to play Prison, and then spend 5 mana drawing 2 cards on top of that. It's just way too slow. You want your location to be up and early. Here comes the tinfoil time, though. They tweeted out, the Hearthstone team, about this, the factory tour, saying that, there's a playroom with druid dolls and dollhouses, hunters, and plushie toys, and animal figurines, priests, arts and crafts, yada, yada, yada. Anyway, the important thing is, it has locations. The playroom, the basement, the library, the game room. The last time they did something like this was at Murder of Castle Nathri, where we got most of the locations, and where most of the locations are rotating out with. I think, and again, maybe tinfoil hat here, I think they're going to release locations for every single class. And it's going to be based on this factory tour. And I think this was like a little, sneak peek, right? So I think Druid is going to get some sort of dollhouse type thing in the playroom. I think there's going to be a basement with Death Knight things in there, toys that are being put back together or something like Sid in Toy Story type thing. Anyway, that's my belief. If that is the case, then this card is kind of impossible to fully evaluate because, as I said, there might be locations that we're waiting on, so it's going to be a little bit wait and see. Now, the card that this does remind me of a little bit is Famished Fool. Famished Fool was a 5 mana 3/5 that drew you 3 cards on the condition that 4 minions died. If there are some cheap locations released with this set, then having a location on the board is probably easier than having 4 minions die. But, Famished Fool was played in decks where there were a lot of minions. And the draw 3 was huge. Draw 1 less, you get 2 attack stats. I don't know. I think it's going to be close. It's going to be like the 30th card you put into some decks. It's like, I need some card draw. I don't have any better options. We'll put the Workshop Janitor in. I have a location. And hopefully that will work. Yeah, I'm not sure about it. And when I say as well, it's kind of an easy condition to set. You do have to draw the location first, whereas in Fuse 4 minions, you were always playing minions in those Famished Fool decks. So maybe it's not easy enough. I think this is weaker than Famished Fool. Famished Fool was like the 25th to 30th cards you're typically putting in your deck. I think Workshop Janitor will be somewhere between the 30th and 35th. So, yeah. Sorry, Janitor. You're fired. Anyway, the final card. 4 mana 3/4, Caricature Artist. Battlecry. Draw a minion that costs 5 or more. Give it a funny mustache. Obviously, the give it a funny mustache is the strongest part of the wording here. Only because it's just swag, right? Let's say you draw your King Plush. It has a fantastic mustache on it. That is going to strike fear and horror into your opponents. What if you want your Ziliax Deluxe 3000? Obviously, you have to make this cost 5 or more with the parts you put into it. And it has a fucking mustache on it, a mech mustache. That is horrifying, right? That is so... It's so inhuman. And maybe you put this into a Highlander deck as well, where, you want a tutor for your Highlander cards. You might want your Dr. Holiday. Maybe you don't put any other expensive minions in the deck. And you can get your big payoff for the being a Highlander deck. You just run one of these caricature artists. Okay, I can see that. What if you just want to grab one of your Titans? Anyway, caricature artists, I honestly can see a world where this sees play. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Cattle Rustle, which saw a little bit of play as tutors for important beasts. It's obviously not quite as fine as the tutoring on that, and it's pretty restrictive if you want to get one specific card, that you can only run one minion that costs 5 or more. So I think it probably won't see play, except for memes, of course. Anyway, they were the neutrals from today and yesterday. There are some more that are going to come out later on today, I believe. And then I think we're going to get into the classes. So I'm really looking forward to what the classes offer and what the impending archetypes are going to be for those decks. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you again. Bye.